Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the chosen heir of the Juubi? Part 4. If you want more awesome fan fiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, so without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Sakura rushed at the tiger demon and lizard demon. She was aiming to kill them both for daring to touch her. How dare they, her body was for Naruto's hands only, and she would also avenge her beloved mother. Damn it. Move. Move. Tora roared his mind, his body struggled to regain its mobility. The lizard was frozen in terror though. Sakura soon phased in front of the lizard demon and punched him in the chest so hard his body exploded from the sheer force of her blow. His blood and guts splattered on Sakura, but she was undeterred by the gore now spilled on her. Tora was shaking again. Damn, she's changed. She's not the same girl from earlier. Sakura looked at him, her eyes glowing red. You're next, Tora, you will pay for your brother's crimes of causing my mother's death. She suddenly vanished in a red flash. Arg. Tora screamed as his right arm was sliced off and plopped to the ground. Sakura appeared behind the tiger with her arm outstretched and her razor-sharp fingernails coated with his blood. Sakura licked the blood off her fingers and then spat it out in disgust. Your blood tastes awful, just as I expected from scum like you. You bitch. Tora snarled, holding the bleeding stump with his one good arm. Sakura scoffed. You are a fool if you think you can beat me. I'll kill you, girl. Tora roared loudly, his own green yaki swirling around him, and assumed his full beast form. He was huge, easily the size of the tailed beasts. His fur was a dark orange with some white, and he had black stripes like all tigers did. His severed limb began to regenerate, moments later it was fully reformed, his three tails waved behind him angrily. His old limb on the ground faded away, since he grew a new one. His upper fangs were half the length of a saber-toothed tiger's. So you really think you can beat me just by shifting into your true form? Sakura said, brushing some of her silver hair back. How foolish. The massive tiger's yellow eyes glowed with rage, the fur on his back stood on end. Shut up, you whore. I will not be looked down on by the daughter of a dead woman. Tora roared. And that boy you love will die. The others will rip him apart and then bring his pieces to you. Sakura lowered her head with her silver hair shadowing her eyes, her hands lowered to her sides. Tora grinned tootily, thinking he had her. Strike a nerve, did I? Worried about your little boyfriend. Suddenly Tora felt a huge force slam into his chin, actually knocking him off his feet, causing him to rise on two legs and fall over on his side with a huge thud. Arg. Blood flew from his mouth and he lost his longer upper fangs. But how? Tora looked to see Sakura standing in the spot where his head once was. Sakura had her leg out and it was sparkling with yaki, and bats were seen fluttering around it. Sakura looked absolutely furious, her yaki flared up again, her slitted pupils shrunk to where they were barely visible. How dare you threaten my beloved, you scum. She screamed, baring her fangs. I will show you your proper place. Tora sneered, rolling over and getting up. Try it, bitch. He charged at Sakura with his right paw. Die. He swung his paw to try and crush Sakura. But Sakura easily caught his attack using one hand. The vampire princess smirked. Is this all you can do? I'm disappointed. No. I won't lose. Tora leapt back and then charged a second, and what would be his last time. He swung his right paw, and yet just like the last time, Sakura caught his paw in mid-swing. Sakura smirked. Now I'll show you some of my true power. She lifted Tora in his tiger form over her head with no difficulties at all on her end. Her yaki flared up around her, cracking the ground and sending out powerful shockwaves. What are you? You can't be an ordinary vampire. No ordinary vampire has this kind of power and strength. Tora cried out, struggling to get loose, but to no avail. Sakura nodded. You're right, I am not an ordinary vampire, I am a Shinso vampire and the future queen of the vampires. She then sent her yaki into her leg, it began to glow with red lightning. Do you recall my race's strongest ability? Tora's sweat dropped and said stupidly. Having mercy. Maybe Sakura knocked something loose in his head from her earlier kick. Sakura smirked evilly. No, my race's most coveted and special ability is the ability to convert our own energy into raw physical power. Shall I demonstrate? Demonstrate this, girl. Tora reached down with his free paw trying to stop her. Sakura then swung her leg up so fast that all Tora saw was a black sandal coming at his face, and then he knew nothing. Tora flew up and then came crashing down right behind Sakura, uplifting debris. Sakura brushed a hand through her hair. Know your place. Her kick had shattered his jaw and part of his skull and sent bone fragments into his brain. He was as good as dead. Tora reverted to his human form, dead. Sakura looked up at the sky. I did it, Kachan, I have avenged you. Suddenly a more primal urge entered her mind, the image of her love appeared in her mind, her pupils shrunk into tiny slits and she licked her lips seductively. Naru-kun, my beloved. I want to bear your children. The vampire princess shivered as primal lust overtook her. Sakura suddenly vanished into the shadows and awaited her chance. But Naruto watched as his 6 opponents got themselves up from their harsh landing. They all were sent sailing several miles and all landed on an island several meters from the mainland. They all stood up shakily. Itachi yelled. "Kill him." All 6 opponents charged together. But Itachi, Daraku, Takamaru, Fenner, Ryoku, and Ren soon discovered just how outclassed they were as Naruto easily began beating them, easily dodging and blocking their blows and countered them with such ease, he made them look like amateurs. Itachi thought. This was a mistake, he's too strong. Fenner was whining in his mind. This hurts. The kid's too good. Ren was trying to fight back and failing. Damn it. This can't be. How can he outclass us so easily? Ryoku thought. This is trouble, we are greatly misinformed about his level of strength. What was more humiliating to them is Naruto hadn't even assumed his demon form yet. He was beating them easily in just his human form, pure human form without any of his demonic features showing. Naruto ran at his opponents and began delivering a world-class beatdown which they could barely defend themselves against. With Kushina. While Naruto was easily beating his opponents. Sadly, the same couldn't be said for his mother-mate Kushina. While she may be able to use the water walking exercise again, her Yaki was still messed up thanks to her sudden increase in power. Her ninjutsu were practically unusable right now, so she could only fight using her taijutsu. Kushina had several rips in her clothes and several bruises forming from the shark's tough skin hurting her fists and the few times that they rammed her in the back or side. Tiki smirked. Poor girl. Brother, I think she's having some trouble with her Yaki, why don't we help her? Good idea, little brother. Katsu replied. Though they were still damaged from the jutsu, Kushina did manage to pull off. Separate dimension. Izuna, Tsunami, and Inari were in another dimension surrounded by protective really powerful seals. Shockingly, the people killed by the demons before they challenged Naruto and his family looked like them but were not. Flashback before the demons arrived and before Naruto faced the hollows. Naruto spoke. Tazuna-san, my family and I are going out to train, but I will not let you die because if you die my mission will fail and I will not fail my first high-ranked mission. He activated his taijutsu and it began to spin. I will send you to a private dimension where you will be safe and clones will take your places until this mission is over. Izuna and his family felt themselves being sucked into a vortex. Tobi's space-time absorption technique. Then Naruto created 3 blood clones and had them assume the forms of Tazuna, Tsunami, and Inari. Now I'm leaving to go train now, I will let you out after the bridge is built. Naruto said as he walked out of the room and house. Then flashback. Izuna knew something was strange about Naruto. He didn't seem human at all from the frightening aura he emanated. Inari was still in awe at Naruto's abilities. The boy felt like maybe his country had a chance now. For some strange reason he wanted to believe again. Tsunami was blushing remembering how handsome Naruto looked for his age. With Kushina. Kushina went through hand seals. Water release. Great waterfall technique. The water rose up and then dropped right back down. Kushina still had troubles thanks to her loss of control. Kushina cursed. Damn it. Iki appeared in front of her and aimed a punch which Kushina managed to block, but his tough skin scratched hers. What's wrong, girl? You seem to have trouble controlling your Yaki. Hiki taunted. Kushina growled. Shut up. She rushed at the shark again and traded blows with him. Hiki and Katsu grinned as they fought Kushina hand in hand, they were really impressed with her. Kushina then leapt back and went through hand seals. Red lightning began to crackle around her body in a way similar to the Chidori current and then began to form a large kitsune above her. Demonic lightning release. Crimson kitsune bullet. But Kushina could feel something was amiss due to her loss of control over her Yaki. The kitsune image was unstable and hazy, like it was about to burst. She knew her demon jutsu was about to fail, which it did. The kitsune image suddenly scattered into several stray red lightning bolts which shot everywhere. Kushina luckily managed to dodge her own failed jutsu. The bolts missed the 2 shark demons completely. Katsu laughed. What was that supposed to be? An attack? More like a fluke. Come brother, let's get her with our technique. Right big brother? Hiki replied. Kushina cursed again. Damn it. I should have known better than to attempt one of my demon jutsu while my Yaki is screwed up like this. Hiki and Katsu began to charge their Yaki. They opened their mouths and water and Yaki began to gather into 2 glowing blue balls. Kushina watched as the water balls formed and then they compressed them in a way similar to the tailed beast bomb. She flinched at the shockwave that came from the compression which sent a strong ripple through the air and water. This can't be good, those bullets look like they can do some damage. Ready brother? Ready. Hiki and Katsu launched 2 extremely compressed balls of water pressure at Kushina. Demonic water bombs. Kushina brought her arms out to block and then the attack struck hard in her arms. The water pressure behind the bullets was so strong that Kushina felt herself thrown off her feet and sent flying. Kushina cursed feeling the bones in her arms rattle. If she had been any weaker than she was, those attacks would have easily killed her. Kushina went flying far, heading straight for the area where Naruto was battling his opponents. Hiki and Katsu followed after their prey to finish her off. But Naruto was easily manhandling his 6 opponents, they all had painful bruises and cuts. Itachi's Kusanagi blade was broken, Daraku had lost 3 of his 7 tails when Naruto used Kamui to destroy them. Daraku now had 4 full tails and 3 stumps. Ren's claws were also busted. Fenrir was lying on his side with a gash on his right back leg. Naruto stood before them with nary a scratch, with a now bored gaze. His sharp nails were slick with blood, Fenrir's blood. His shinpangan spinning. "Please tell me this isn't all you're capable of?" the young demon god asked, bored. Ryoku was lying dazed from a demon lightning jutsu that messed up his nervous system. Ren cursed, nursing his broken right hand. "Damn it, he's strong. Too strong." Fenrir whined. "We were greatly misinformed of his power." Takamaru was panting, tired. "Huff huff, we can't give up." Itachi nodded. "I agree with Takamaru, we must keep trying. We cannot lose." Fenrir got up, his wounds slowly healing due to Naruto's much greater power. "We can win. I know we can." They and Naruto got into fighting stances again. Naruto sighed. This was pointless, he was obviously far too strong for them. But he must handle them now. Naruto lowered into a fighting stance, his dark blue eyes gazing coldly at them. They were so weak now he didn't even need to keep his advanced jutsu active. Naruto then rushed forward and broke the bones of Itachi, making him scream like a little girl. Naruto's sweat dropped. Even his mother mate hadn't screamed that high pitch during their mating. Suddenly a person slammed into the ground hard before the group and Naruto. It was Kushina. Naruto was surprised. He looked over her body. She looked like she was hurting a lot, he could sense her yaki had gone out of whack again. Naruto studied her, visibly worried. "Ka-chan, you look like you've really taken a beating." The demons looked to the fallen Rakubi vixen in front of them and smirked. Now was their chance. Fenrir opened his mouth and blue energy began to charge into an orb. Itachi healed his bones as best he could, enough for him to move again. He charged his purple energy into his blade, which regenerated itself. Ren gathered Yauki into his claws, making them heal and extend. Takamaru charged Yauki into his fist. Ryoku gathered some his insects and compressed them into a ball. Iraku gathered foxfire in his hands, a large blue fireball formed in between his palms. Kushina struggled to get up, still feeling the side effects of her flight here. She then saw the attacks and paled. That was a lot of power they were charging. Then they all fired their attacks at the same time. Fenrir shot a powerful blue blast out of his mouth. Itachi sent a slash wave of dark purple energy. Ren sent violet-colored energy claws outward. Takamaru sent a powerful air pressure punch that was actually visible, taking on the form of a monster monkey head. Ryoku sent his compressed insect ball. Iraku sent a huge blast of foxfire out. The 6 attacks came at Kushina fast. Naruto didn't activate his path abilities, Dojutsu, barrier, or anything, he just reacted, thoughts of protecting his mate the only thing on his mind. He pushed Kushina out of harm's way and took the attacks head on himself. They all struck him head on and exploded, uplifting dirt and sending water up several miles high. Kushina watched, her last sight of Naruto being of him looming over her protectively, and then he was gone. Only bits of tattered clothing remained. Kushina shakily picked up the clothing and looked around for any sign of her beloved son-husband, but to no avail, she couldn't see him anywhere. She was alone. Naruto was gone just like that. The scene replayed in her mind over and over again like a record. She began to tremble, holding the tattered shirt to her very ample chest. Tears falling from her beautiful blue eyes. The 6 demons laughed and cheered happily. "We did it. The boy's gone. The throne is ours." "Yes. I knew targeting the woman was the right idea. Those shark brothers were the ones who sent her to us. I smelt their scent on her. Hiki and Katsu were quite helpful, we should reward them. Kuku, soon a new era shall begin. Indeed, I shall make sure she and the other girls are properly taken care of. Quite right, my wasps have been avenged. And that brat is good and dead." Hiki and Katsu soon arrive, having followed Kushina to finish the job they started. They heard the praise and soaked it all in. "Brother, I don't sense the boy's energy anymore." "Yeah, looks like they did it. I knew sending the woman here was a brilliant idea. Looks like they're gonna reward us." Finally Kushina spoke. "You killed him, you killed him." She kept muttering this, her yaki began to surround her. She hugged the shirt to her tighter. When she saw Hiki and Katsu, she exploded, since they were the ones who sent her into this area in the first place. It was their fault that her Naruto was gone. Kushina just exploded with power, all her wounds healed up. "You killed him." Her Yauki just burst around her body. A powerful shockwave rumbled through the area with Kushina's scream. She was engulfed into a black sphere of Yauki, which then shattered, revealing her transformed. The 8 demons were stunned by the transformation. Kushina was now a whole foot taller, her double J cup beak grew even larger into large double K cups, same size as Naomi's, her muscles swelled some, but her build was still slim and perfect, in fact it was even more perfect than before. Her hair gained streaks of golden blonde and snow white in it, with a long thin strand going down her face. Her hair was now even longer, reaching down to the ground. Her eyes had black eyeshadow-like marks around them, her pupils were really tiny slits, barely visible. Her claws and fangs doubled in length, and she now had not 6 but 7 tails swaying behind her. The now 7-tailed Kushina glared at the 2 shark demons, her eyes filled with sheer hatred and primal rage, angry tears falling. "You killed my Naru-kun," she roared, sending shockwaves out, her aura flared up, shaking the entire island. Rocks lifted up around her, and the ground cratered and cracked, the water bubbled and churned. The sky in this area actually turned red. With Naomi, Gina, Tsukiko, and Hinata. Naomi gasped, pulling her hand from the chest of a now dead wolf ox chimera. "This Yauki. It's Kushi-chan's. What could have happened?" The fox princess was extremely worried for her ex-hostern fellow kitsune. She flicked her wrist, cleaning the dirty blood from it in mere seconds. "Naomi-chan, this energy is Kushina-chan's, isn't it?" Gina said, flicking her wrist too, and the head of a snake tiger chimera flew right off its advancing body. A purple whip was coming from Gina's fingers. Naomi nodded. "Yes, Gina-chan. I have a bad feeling that something may have happened to Naruto-kun, that's the only thing that could trigger such a response from Kushi-chan." Hinata and Tsukiko looked up at the sky. "Ka-chan, Naruto-kun, what happened?" With Kushina. Kushina glared at the 2 sharks. Her 7 tails swishing and twisting around her body. Her much longer hair flowed in the winds created by her Yauki. Hiki's sweat dropped. She looks kind of angry, doesn't she, bro?" Kushina's power and anger was really scaring him. The younger demon shark was trembling noticeably at the bloodlust and rage in her eyes. Hatsu agreed with his brother, this woman was really frightening. "Yeah, maybe it would be best to run." Katsu shouted. He and his younger brother bolted for the water, mentally chanting. "Gotta get away. Gotta get away. Gotta get away from this crazy woman." Unfortunately for them, Kushina was much faster. She silently created 2 arms made of Yauki out of her aura and sent them at the fleeing sharks. The clawed arms easily crossed the distance and grabbed the 2 shark brothers. Hiki and his brother struggled, but the grip was far too strong on them. They could barely move a muscle. "Damn it. Arg. Get this thing off of us. Brother, I can't move." Warning. Extremely sadistic torture scene. Kids, turn back now lest you have frightening nightmares. Kushina had a vicious feral gleam in her eyes and a dark smirk on her face that would make a human die of sheer fright. "You will suffer for what you've done." Her tone was dripping with malice and bloodlust. She dragged them back to her with the arms and then held them in the air. Then Kushina's body began to crackle with red lightning. She redirected and sent the lightning down the arms and into the sharks. They both screamed in agony as the demonic red lightning coursed through their bodies. Kushina's smirk turned more wicked, her eyes shining with pure evil. "Yes, do scream more for me." She upped the voltage of her lightning technique, the lightning crackling grew fiercer and larger. Hiki and Katsu screamed louder as the increased voltage began to burn their skin. As water creatures, they were extremely vulnerable to lightning techniques. Kushina laughed evilly at their pain, really enjoying herself. She shivered in absolute ecstasy from their suffering. Kushina then added even more voltage, inducing more screams from her victims. She just reveled in their screams. Kushina exclaimed in pleasure, increasing the voltage even higher. "Oh yes. Please scream more, it entices me." Her body trembled in pure euphoria. Ren was quivering like a ship in a storm. "She's scary." "Yeah, I agree, let's escape while she's torturing those 2. Fenner said. Irachi, Ren, Fenner, Daraku, Takamaru, and Ryoku all agreed and tried to sneak away, emphasis on tried. As Kushina's pure demonic eye kept them frozen in place. Kushina then stopped with her lightning attack. The evil gleam in her eyes seemed to get even darker. The sharks breathed a sigh of relief until the arms lifted them high into the sky, then slammed them down hard into the ground. Hiki and Katsu lost a few fangs and spat out blood from the harsh impact. A crater was formed. Of course, being shark demons, their fangs quickly regrew. Kushina then had her arms lift them up again and then slam them down again, breaking more of their fangs, which regenerated. She smirked and had her arms bring the sharks over to her and now held them dangling in front of her. Hiki spat out blood. "It's useless, woman. Ordinary sharks can regrow their teeth as quickly as they're broken. But we demon sharks can always regrow our fangs. No matter how many sets you break, there's always a new set waiting beneath to replace the broken one." Hatsu smirked at Kushina's narrow death glare on them. "So, sorry if we spoiled your plans." Kushina then smirked even more evil than before. No matter, there are still multiple ways I can hurt you. She then slammed them down one more time and this time zapped them again with lightning. Hiki and Katsu screamed in agony. Kushina then retracted her arms and walked over to the twitching sharks, or more precise the younger one, Hiki, with the evil glint in her eyes, somehow getting even more sinister, to where her eyes now glowed a demonic ominous red. Hiki struggled to get up. Ugh, got to get up and help my big brother so we can try to get away again. Kushina lifted her foot above his prone body with a dark cruel look on her face that would make Ibiki, Orochimaru, Haiden, and Anko wet themselves in fear. Kushina suddenly brought her foot down on his stomach hard, nearly rupturing it. Hiki coughed blood from his mouth and felt like his stomach could implode. Hiki was pushed harder into the ground. URGGGH. Hiki felt like his organs would rupture, blood spurted from his mouth. Hiki. Leave him alone, you bitch. Katsu yelled. Kushina then removed her foot from his stomach. She looked at Katsu with a cruel smile. My, it seems you don't like it when I hurt your little brother, do you? She then lifted her foot and again stomped down on Hiki's stomach, inducing a pain-filled scream with blood from the younger shark demon. Kushina then grinded her foot down, adding more pressure, lifted her foot again and slammed it down, grinding it into Hiki again. She repeated this process around 2 times and then stopped. Hiki was stuck in the ground in a crater shaped like himself. Hiki looked to his brother, feeling extreme pain in his stomach. Big brother. Blood was dribbling from his mouth and you could see a bit of lung and liver poking out of there too. You beeping bitch. Leave my little brother alone, what did we ever do to you? Katsu screamed. Kushina's Yaki aura flared up and she lowered her head, her hair now shadowing her eyes. But then she raised her head and had a look that could freeze the flames of hell over thrice. She was outraged by the nerve of him asking a question like that. What did you do? What did you do? You know what you did, you beeping bastard. Kushina screamed, filled with rage, sorrow, and hatred, her mind again showing the scene of her beloved son husband Naruto protecting her from the attacks earlier. Her fists were clenched so tightly her claws were digging into her skin. She thought with conviction. Naru-kun. This is for you, my love. Kushina dug her foot into the ground and sent Hiki flying skyward from an upper kick. Hiki flew upward and Kushina came after him fast, using her Yaki to launch herself into the air, almost similar to the flight technique. She then grabbed Hiki and then flew down fast towards the ground, flaring up her aura. She and her passenger were engulfed in a violet-red flame-like light. Katsu watched in horror as a violet-red colored flaming meteor plummeted into the ground hard, completely breaking it apart and creating a large cloud of dust from the landing. When it cleared, it showed a most frightening sight, at least to Katsu. Kushina was on her feet holding Hiki in the air by the throat. Her immense strength was crushing his windpipe. She increased the pressure of her grip to where Hiki started turning a darker blue due to the lack of air. The shark demon struggled but couldn't remove the slim yet deceptively strong hand from around his throat. Kushina then dropped him before slamming her fist hard into his stomach, sending him sailing away. But she created an arm made of Yaki and reached out. The arm extended, retrieved her victim, and brought him back to her. Kushina dropped him to the ground and then picked him up by the throat again. Hiki couldn't even resist anymore, his eyes showed he was beaten, now nothing more than a mere punching bag for Kushina. Kushina charged Yaki in her left hand, clenching it tightly, violet flames flared up around it. Then she punched Hiki in the stomach yet again. Hiki coughed up blood and bits of tissue, and the powerful demon flames actually burned his tough skin. Hiki panted, just barely alive. Kushina rammed her fist multiple times into Hiki's stomach, causing him to cough up more blood and tissues. Katsu yelled. No. Stop it. Leave him alone. I'm begging you. His pride he threw away with the hope of saving his little brother. Please. Spare him. Katsu actually pleaded. Shut up already. Kushina said coldly, looking at him over her shoulder with an annoyed look on her face. Your voice is grating on my ears, dumb fish. Katsu gasped as he looked into her eyes. They showed no remorse or mercy. Kushina then looked back to her current victim. Kushina felt a fist slam into her face as Hiki found a little fire left, but the punch didn't even faze her, it just turned her head to the side slightly. She just looked back at Hiki. You still have some fire, impressive but pointless. Hiki trembled, that was the last bit of courage he had left in him. Kushina said. Goodbye. She snapped her fingers and a huge inferno dome of violet red flames erupted around her, covering her and her victim. Hiki screamed with what little strength he had left as the intense flames actually ate away at his skin. Katsu managed to get up. Hiki. I'll save you, bro. He charged another compressed water bullet and fired it at the wall of fire. But the bullet evaporated the minute it came near the flame dome, the heat was far too strong. The sand they were all standing on actually began to glass over, the trees actually caught fire from the heated air, even though they were nowhere near the flame wall. Ran, Arachi, Daraku, Ryoku, Fenner, and Takamaru managed to get a safe distance, but they could still feel the intense heat of the dome. Inside the dome, Hiki felt his skin melting right off his bones which were burning as well. His organs that weren't ruptured shriveled up from the heat, soon his screams were silenced for good. Kushina snapped her fingers again, the flame dome faded, and Hiki was now reduced to a burnt shriveled skeleton. Kushina looked at the bones. Well, he sure didn't last long. She frowned. Maybe she shouldn't have killed him so quickly and prolonged his suffering instead. Oh well, she can still have more torture fun with the older brother Katsu, who was frozen in shock, seeing the burnt remains of his little brother. You killed him, you killed my brother. Katsu whispered before he grew angry. You beeping bitch. You killed my brother. He then rushed blindly at the Nanabi vixen. You killed him. Now you know my pain, you bastard fish. Kushina growled, meeting him head on. Katsu tried to bite Kushina only for her to dodge and then kick him where it hurts. Katsu squealed in pain and fell to the ground holding his crotch. Damn it, I think you popped them. Sorry. Kushina giggled mockingly. Let me try again. She then flashed before his fallen form, raised her foot and stomped down, completely breaking his manhood and his hands, and she grinded her foot down hard to make sure he couldn't regenerate them. Katsu squealed a new high-pitched dolphin-like note in sheer agony. Kushina removed her foot from his now busted balls. Torture scene over. It's safe to read now, people. Kushina lifted one hand. Gyauki swirled into a violet orb in her palm. I'm just going to kill you now. She raised the orb and slammed it into Katsu's head. Rasengan. The sphere grinded his head into a bloody mulch and his body convulsed once from the sudden beheading before becoming completely still. Kushina brought her blood-covered hand to her mouth and licked off the blood. I'm still not that fond of eating fish. Too salty. Bran was no longer scared as his incubus instincts began to overcome him. He grinned, eyeing the beautiful red-haired Nanabi vixen. His member began to harden as he studied her very well-endowed body. Her beep were bigger than any succubi he had beeped. A woman like that was perfect for a ladies' man like him. He had smelled Naruto's scent on her, which meant the boy had been her mate. Poor woman, she had been mated to a child who's barely started puberty. Ren will comfort Kushina and show her just what a real man can do. The other 5 were terrified though. Ren walked towards Kushina with a grin. Here babe, so you were mated to that mere child, eh? I feel sorry for you. He walked with an arrogant swagger, trying to impress Kushina with his strut. Kushina turned to face him with fire in her eyes. Her head was down with her hair now shadowing her eyes. Ren was too wrapped up in his wooing to notice her growing anger, soon he was right in front of her. Ren went on. A beautiful lady like yourself doesn't need to waste your time with a mere child when you could be with a real man like myself. That boy's long gone now, it really is a shame. But now I'm here to sweep you off your feet. Ren moved extremely close to Kushina, giving her a lady killer grin that worked on most other ladies. Too bad for him, Kushina wasn't like most women. He reached out and grabbed her shoulder, rubbing it suggestively. Kushina actually shivered at his touch. But not in the way he was thinking. She was barely holding it together before she killed him in the most brutal ways possible. His touch was disgusting, awful, vile. He did not have the right to put his hands on her. Only one may touch her, now and forever only Naruto can touch her. So what do you say, babe, will you become my woman? You'll be treated like a queen, I promise. Ren said, his eyes beginning to glow as he tried to force his influence on her via charm. Become mine, babe. I'm Kami's gift to women. I'll bet that child couldn't please you like I could, even if he beat you, he's too young to really impregnate you. Unfortunately for him, Kushina was marked by Naruto already, making her immune to any manipulations by other demonic males. Kushina trembled, barely resisting the urge to rip his head off, emphasis on barely, her hands were twitching. Ren's wooing continued. Why, I'll bet I could impregnate you after our very first time. You'll bear the children of a winner and not have them suffer any defects, like if you have been beeped by that brat. He licked her cheek and inhaled her scent. You smell so good, babe, take it from other women who have I beeped. I'm a beast in bed, you can't get a better choice than me, an incubus. What do you say, want to be my mate, babe? Kushina's trembles increased as the perverted incubus even began to grind his hips against hers, practically dry humping her. I can rock your world, babe, and give you the night of a lifetime. You don't need some brat who's as good as dead. Ren leaned in to kiss Kushina and seal the deal. He thought with glee. Just like our women, Sukubi, if we incubi kiss a woman, she's ours for life. That was the final straw. Kushina could take this pervert no longer. Kushina thrust her right hand out and screamed. Get the beep away from me, you bastard. Almighty push. A massive force wave burst from her body. The powerful force flung Ren far away from her. Kushina glared at the direction he flew before turning to the others. When I'm done with that pervert, you 5 are next. She growled, pointing one clawed finger at them. They shivered at the demonic eye she aimed at them before she flashed stepped away, going after her target. Itachi shivered. Ren messed up big time, that woman scares me. Agreed Itachi. Daraku replied. But hey, with her gone, we can try to escape right now. Takamaru exclaimed. Right. The others agreed and were about to make a run for it. But then a massive force crushed down on them, stopping them in their tracks. It was godly, monstrous, and very familiar. Itachi shivered. This aura. It's so strong. Stronger than the woman's. But the only aura that is stronger than that woman's is no, it can't be. We killed him. Daraku exclaimed in terror. They looked at the water, which suddenly glowed with a really dark light, and then a massive black pillar of demonic energy shot out of the water and into the sky. But the girls. Naomi looked up, seeing the black pillar of energy. This power is Narukun's. It's even stronger than before. Gina was silent, watching the pillar rise up. Tsukiko and Hinata were also watching silently, amazed by the sheer presence this pillar gave off. More chimeras were summoned and charged the girls. The girls suddenly felt more primal as they slaughtered them all. But the demons. Fenner said, trembling. This power, it's him. He's alive. The pillar then faded, and then a giant pillar of water rose up right in front of them, miles high. When it fell, there he was, Naruto Uchiha Uzumaki, sitting on the shore right in front of them. He was shirtless, showing a huge gaping and deep hole in his chest, where his heart was seen torn, and his lungs were clearly visible through the hole in his chest. They were torn also, yet still functioning. His heart was still beating, the hole was dripping out blood. Naruto also had severe burns, the right side on his face and both of his arms. The left side of his face was fine. Yet he didn't seem to be bothered by the wounds at all. He seemed to be perfectly calm, eyeing his opponents with his non-burned left eye. Daraku exclaimed. No. Way. He can't be still alive. Look at the huge hole in his body. His heart and lungs are torn. How can anyone survive wounds like that? Not to mention the burns he has on his face and arms. I'll admit those attacks did take me by surprise. Naruto said, his breathing still normal despite his torn lungs. But I won't let that happen again. Fenner was quivering. No, he's just too strong. Suddenly the burns on Naruto's face were rapidly healing, the hole in his chest stopped bleeding and began to close. His heart and lungs suddenly regenerated, their lost parts becoming whole. Any other wounds he may have gotten were already healing, and quickly, the hole in his chest closed completely. In a matter of seconds, almost instantly, all of Naruto's wounds were healed completely. It was like he wasn't ever injured in the first place. Naruto though noticed his shirt didn't regenerate. He sighed. Too bad my clothes can't regenerate like my body can. Suddenly Naruto's yaki swelled as his four tails and his wolf ears appeared, and then a fifth tail grew in. The landscape around them was torn completely apart by the immense power. Naruto raised an eyebrow. So my fifth tail is in now. He suddenly blinked as an eyelash fell, along with some hair from his tails. The blood he lost on the ground rose up and swirled around the eyelash and hair. Then Naruto watched one fang drop and another one quickly regenerated. Some of his yaki and a bit of his life force seeped into the items, making them swirl faster. Naruto watched as they all swirled faster and faster until they stopped and transformed right before his eyes. A large black elegant scythe floated before him. The staff was 7 feet tall, obsidian black in color. The top of the staff ends as a black sphere, contains a demonic-looking eye. The blade of the scythe extended as a wicked-looking curve. Also below the main blade is a second much smaller blade as an extension. On the blade of the scythe, alongside with it, there are 3 demonic eyes, giving it an eerie appearance. Also at the top of the staff of the scythe, 3 energy-bladed extensions were seen floating. The scythe pulsed and glowed with Naruto's yaki, proving it was his and his only. This weapon was made from his own being and life force. It couldn't be broken by anything, and it can only be wielded by Naruto himself. So I got my weapon now. Naruto raised one hand, and the scythe instantly appeared in it in a shroud of black yaki. He gave the scythe a quick twirl and held it, resting it on his shoulder. I like the design. I believe I shall call you Void Reaper. The scythe pulsed as if loving the name. But he would test its capabilities later. Right now he had some demons to kill. He swiftly dispelled Void Reaper and another yaki shroud. Hakamaru screamed. Shit. His fifth tail came in. Damn it. He even created his own weapon. Fenner cursed. Naruto looked at them. His eyes showed incredible anger for once. You were fighting me, but when my mate landed you turned your attacks on her. Now you will learn the meaning of true terror. His energy swelled even higher, causing even more damage to the already totaled landscape. His glare seemed to get darker and more terrifying, to where the demons looked everywhere else, but his eyes not wanting to see that Shinigami-like glare. Naruto then lowered into his true Taijutsu stance. He had one hand raised up and open like he was telling them to stop. The other hand hung loosely. His legs were near each other, with one foot standing in one angle and the other foot standing at a different 90-degree angle. This was Naruto's full Taijutsu stance. The 5 demons were practically shaking in their boots from his immense kai and monster aura aimed at them, and they looked all around trying to avoid his death gaze. Naruto said. If you won't come to me, I'll just go to you. He suddenly flashed forward, leaving a crater where he stood behind, and a shockwave was released with his movement. But Kushina had caught up to Ren. She swung her fist, striking him in the face and sending him crashing into a tree. Ren groaned and shakily got up. Ugh, she packs quite a punch. Kushina flashed in front of Ren and grabbed him. She then swung him around several times and threw him. Ren thought. Well, at least the flight's free. I wonder if they're giving out free peanuts. He managed to right himself using his wings and slowed his flight. Kushina growled and shot towards him. She used her Yauki to increase her speed and distance to where it almost looked like she was flying. Kushina almost fully utilized the flight technique. Ren was stunned. Kushina came at Ren fast with full intent to kill in her red eyes. She slammed her fist into Ren's stomach, knocking the air out of his lungs. She didn't send him flying this time. Ren groaned, grabbing his stomach in pain, wheezing to catch his breath. Ouch, I always did hate those painful gut punches. Kushina clasped her hands intertwined together over her head and slammed them into Ren's head in a downward double axe handle. Ren was sent plummeting towards the ground and crashed, uplifting dust and debris. Kushina floated down and landed gracefully on her feet. But Naruto attacked Takamaru, beating him raw. Then he summoned one of his rods and impaled it through Takamaru's gut. The monkey demon screamed in agony as the rod messed up his energy control. Itachi had his arm broken and he was glaring as best he could. Iraku had barely managed to escape another Kamui which would have destroyed his last 4 tails. But his right arm got caught in the vortex and ripped off. Ryoku was down to his last swarm. Fenner couldn't even look at Naruto as his instincts were telling him not to fight this ultimate alpha. Naruto went through hand seals. But not the normal hand seals, these were demonic hand seals. The young demon god clapped his hands together with a powerful smack. 2 large purple magical ritual circles formed on each side of him. Naruto performed a few more hand seals. The circles began to spin as a black energy ball gathered and charged on each. It took only seconds to charge up and then the spheres started growing bigger. The demons were stunned and frightened. Fenner shivered. No. No way, it can't be. That kid knows one of the ancient obliteration demon arts. Impossible. Iraku trembled. This is bad, this is really bad. The ancient obliteration arts are one of the most deadly demon arts. He and his 4 allies could sense the massive power of that attack. Naruto locked onto Itachi and Iraku and performed another demon hand seal. 2 miniature versions of the magic circles appeared on their foreheads. The target point. Soon the spheres were in enormous eyes and ready to fire. Naruto spoke. Black destruction art. Black spheres of the night hunters. He performed a last hand seal and at that point the 2 balls fired at an incredible speed. Itachi and Iraku began to run for it. But to their shock the giant spheres followed them, homed in because of the miniature circles on their foreheads. Naruto wasn't even controlling them himself, those circles on their foreheads were drawing the spheres in like a bullet to a target. Itachi cried out. We must escape, Iraku. I know, Itachi, but how? Iraku screamed. They sent their Yauki and increased their speed, but to their horror, the circles on their foreheads glowed. The spheres glowed and then their own speed increased just as much. The 2 demons continued running around and around trying to confuse the spheres, but all they were succeeding in doing was tiring themselves out. Fenner and Takamaru sweat dropped. Those 2 idiots are only making themselves tired. Then to their horror Iraku and Itachi came towards them. No, you morons. Don't come this way. Fenner and Takamaru made a run for it, or rather Fenner carried Takamaru on his back due to the damage the rod was causing Takamaru. Iraku and Itachi then sadly tripped on themselves and fell face down as Fenner with Takamaru ran off, abandoning them. The energy spheres were soon upon them. The spheres exploded with more force than an atomic bomb, creating a mushroom cloud effect. Shockwaves erupted around the area. Ryoku rose up just as one of the shockwaves hit him. He was instantly obliterated by the shockwave. But Kushina was pummeling Ren's face, and when a familiar aura hit her senses and she stopped before delivering the 300th punch. This aura. It feels like Naruto-kun's. He's alive. She was feeling many things. Shock, happiness, relief, but mostly she was feeling more primal lust overtaking her, sensing his power increase. She turned to her victim. Poor Ren, his face was utterly smashed and bruised. Kushina looked fearful. It was time to finish this pervert off for good. She rushed towards him. But Naruto rushed at Fenner and Takamaru with 2 rods in hand. Due to the graphic nature of this scene it will be not shown. But Kushina was literally ripping Ren apart with her 7 tails. She held him down with 2 while the other 5 pulled. Ren screamed begging for mercy, but alas, not mercy would be given to him. Kushina ripped his arms off with her tails, blood spurted out, then she ripped his legs off, followed by his head. Ren was now in total pieces dead, his blood spread over the ground, staining it red. Kushina turned to where she sensed Naruto's Yaki and flashed towards that area. But Naruto. Naruto looked around. Where are you, Sakura-chan? He suddenly turned as two arms made of red outlined shadows tried to grab him from behind. He dodged their grasp and they reacted back into the shadows where he saw a pair of glowing red eyes. "Aw, why do you avoid my grasp, my love?" A beautiful silver-haired young woman walked out of the shadows, her red-slit eyes glowing. Naruto didn't need to activate his Dojutsu to tell who this woman was. "Sakura-chan, so that's your true power, huh? Not too bad. Do you like my new look, Naru-kun?" Sakura asked in a sultry tone, posing. "Now's not the time for this, Sakura-chan, I need to bring you back to the house." Naruto replied. In a red flash, Sakura appeared in front of him smiling seductively. "We're immortal, Naru-kun, we have all the time in the world." Naruto narrowed his eyes thinking of his mother-mate who needed him by her side, he got into his fighting stance. "Don't make me do this." He replied, his ruthless voice seeping into his monotone. Sakura purred. "We vampires love a good fight before mating." She got into a fighting stance too, and they rushed at each other. Moments later, sorry, really short fight. Naruto won easily. Naruto was carrying a once again pink-haired green-eyed Sakura on his back piggyback style as he ran back to the house. After Naruto easily beat Sakura with a chop to the neck, she returned to her normal pink-haired form. Sakura had her arms draped around his neck. She breathed his scent in. Naru-kun's scent has gotten even more delicious. Naruto could sense it. Sakura would need to learn to control that new form of hers. Naruto made it back to the house. Sakura reluctantly climbed off, mentally swearing to be carried like this again. Naruto wondered why his back felt wet. Tsukiko smiled. "Naruto-kun. Sakura-chan." Sakura waved. "Hey, Tsukiko-sama. Sorry about my absence. Naru-kun helped me with an issue." For the next few days Naruto trained with Gina but would often check up on Kushina's condition. Tsukiko watched the house and Hinata watched over the workers. Sakura trained to master her newly awakened Shinso powers. Naomi watched over Kushina, and because the mating between her and Naruto was disturbed, Kushina was very sexually frustrated, however she was in too much pain right now to do anything about it. But Naruto was training to recontrol his power from growing his fifth tail. He and Gina were using their claws to fight. Gina blocked a claw strike from Naruto just barely. And this sparring match was letting her do some thinking as well. She truly loves Naruto and it's almost time to introduce him to her family. As they sparred, Gina was thinking of how to introduce Naruto to her father and family, but one thing worried her. How would her younger sister, who she could tell loved her, react? She knew how stubborn her sister could be, and if Naruto saw the wrong thing, well, she'd cross that bridge when she came to it. But Sakura was training hard to master her new powers. But Naomi and Kushina was resting on the futon dreaming about mating with Naruto. Naru-kun, yes, right there. Her body still trembled from the aftermath of the earlier pain. Naomi smelled the pheromone she was releasing and trembled slightly. Sheesh. Kushi-chan truly lives up to the kitsune nature. I guess that's my fault. Luckily, as the QB, Naomi was far stronger and easily controlled herself. Still, it was taking nearly all the willpower Naomi had to not help her friend previous Jinchuriki work off that frustration. Misty Forest. The group of demons were chasing a beautiful young woman who looked like a shorter, younger Gina. She wore a torn white kimono and had long silver hair and golden slit eyes. A blue moon decorated her forehead along with two small fang-like stripes under her eyes. Her beak were large eye cups. The voice yelled. "Catch her, idiots. Don't let her get away. Akira-sama has commanded us to get this bitch. Come back here, you little bitch." "Yup, Akira-sama is your master and he demands it." The woman cursed. "Damn that bastard. I just want to find my One-sama." She thought of her big sister Gina, who had left 5 years ago. Oh, how she missed her sister. The strongest and most beautiful of their kind. One-sama, where could you be? This young woman, who looked to be 18 to 19 years old, was Yuriko Taisho, Gina and Sessamaru's little sister. She was crazy about her sister Gina and hated her brother Sessamaru. It was safe to say that Yuriko desired to be her big sister's mate. She had incestuous feelings for her older sister. But Naruto suddenly froze in mid-charge. Huh? Gina looked confused. "Naruto-kun." Naruto sniffed the air. "I smell someone heading this way. The scent smells similar to you, Gina-chan." Gina's eyes widened. Could her family already be here? Suddenly Naruto blurted off. Gina was deep in thought. If one of my family is here, then it's time to bring Naruto-kun before father. I can't wait anymore. I want Naru-kun to be marked as my mate soon. When Naruto arrived, he saw a young woman who looked similar to Gina running, but she looked exhausted. She was being chased by a group of orc demons. So she's the scent I detected. She smells similar to Gina-chan, must be a relative. Naruto then stepped in their path. Yuriko, seeing the boy, quickly got behind him. Help me, boy, please. Fine, I will, but you need to learn how to use your Daikai powers better. Naruto held his hands in his pockets. You're a relative of Gina-chan's, I take it. Yuriko gasped. You know One-sama. So you're Gina-chan's younger sister. All the more reason to help you. The orc stopped when they saw the blonde boy. The lead orc yelled. Hey kid. Out of the way, we want the woman, not you. Naruto gazed at them, and instantly the orcs all felt tremendous fear. Naruto's eyes were narrowed in a glare so powerful the very intensity of it actually caused all the orcs to drop dead from heart attacks. Yuriko was awed and felt a little aroused. Unbelievable. He killed them with just a single glance. This boy is strong. I feel warm. Why do I feel this way? I've never felt like this towards a boy before. She bowed in greetings. Thank you for saving me. My name is Yuriko Taisho, the youngest daughter of the great Inu no Taisho. Naruto looked at her normally. I see, so you really are Gina-chan's younger sister. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, only son of Kushina Uzumaki and a genin. How do you know One-sama, Naruto-kun? Yuriko asked. I've known her since I was 5, she saved me from an angry mob in my home village. Yuriko was stunned. One-sama did disappear 5 years ago, and she met this boy. So where is One-sama now? She's here in this country with me. Naruto said. Yuriko's eyes sparkled in delight. One-sama's here. Could you lead me to her? I'll do anything you ask, Naruto-kun. Yuriko lowered her kimono, showing her sexy slender shoulders, and bent forward, showing her well-endowed cleavage. Naruto's sweat dropped slightly. She's definitely Gina-chan's younger sister with that body. Alright, I'll take you to Gina-chan. Yuriko squealed and hugged Naruto tightly, smothering his head in between her beep. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She let him go. Naruto was fine, even managing to prevent a nosebleed. Naruto and Yuriko walked back towards where Gina was waiting. They saw the Inugami queen standing deep in thought. Gina was knocked back to reality as Yuriko squealed. One-sama. She quickly hugged her older sister around her waist. Minato-chan. Gina looked down at her younger sister, who suddenly reached up, groping her beep. Minato-chan. Gina turned red in embarrassment. Stop that. Naruto watched the siblings hug. He wondered if Gina was already mated to her sister. The way Yuriko was hugging her, it appeared to be so. He had an eyebrow raised. Naruto looked back towards where the others were at the house. Naruto whispered something to Gina that only she could hear. Gina's eyes widened. She knew she must act fast and quickly called out. Naruto-kun, wait. Before you do anything, let me talk with my sister, and I'll be back to show you how serious I am about being your mate. Naruto looked at her with an eyebrow raised and then nodded. Okay. Yuriko, let go of me right now. Gina's voice was soft yet very stern. We need to talk. Her eyes were narrowed into dark slits. Yuriko released her sister, looking rather scared as she knew whenever her sister took that tone, someone was in big trouble, arguably her right now. Gina led her sister a good distance away to speak with her. Naruto raised an eyebrow again. He was impressed on how she handled that. But Gina? Yuriko asked. What's wrong, One-sama? Yuriko, Gina sighed, rubbing her temples, her sister could be so difficult to handle. I love Naruto-kun, I want him as my mate. What? But One-sama. Yuriko began. But Gina stopped her. Don't interrupt me, Yuriko. I met Naruto-kun when he was just 5 years old. I was in my demon form wandering his village, I smelled blood, and when I came upon the source I saw Naruto-kun being beaten to near death by his own people. Yuriko gasped. He was beaten by his own people, One-sama. Yes, I had come to that village because I heard my best friend Naomi-chan had been sealed there into Naruto-kun. He was what humans called a Jinchuriki. Yuriko was stunned. I heard the humans in these nations developed ways to use demon power. But I thought they were just rumors. Gina smiled sadly. I'm afraid not, Yuriko. Naruto-kun was in fact Naomi-chan's third Jinchuriki. His mother Kushina was her Jinchuriki before him. I couldn't bear watching Naruto-kun, a mere 5-year-old, be harmed. So I killed the mob who were hurting him. We talked for a little bit until his mother and siblings came back from a mission. Something about Naruto-kun drew me to him on that day. Later that day, I showed Naruto-kun my human form, and he didn't act like most males do around me. A great darkness and power laid within his very soul that didn't come from Naomi-chan. What was that great dark power, One-sama? Yuriko asked, curious. Gina smiled with a hint of pink in her cheeks, her golden eyes shining with pure affection. The power of Takeo-sama, the Juubi no Akami. Yuriko gasped. Takeo-sama chose a human as his heir. Yes, from what Naruto-kun told me, Takeo-sama appeared before him right after Naomi-chan was sealed inside him. Apparently Naruto-kun was a rare human born destined for the ultimate demon power, according to Takeo-sama. Even as a newborn baby Naruto-kun showed no fear, staring fearlessly at Takeo-sama in his true form. Naruto-kun impressed Takeo-sama enough for him to transfer a portion of his Yaki into him. Yuriko was amazed. So Naruto-kun is? Hina nodded before she became dead serious and firm. The future ruler of Makai and the prince of demons Yuriko. As royalty he will be allowed multiple mates. One of which I plan to become. I won't let anything get in the way of that, not even my family. Even if Naruto-kun were to fail father's test, or Naruto-kun isn't accepted by our family, or even if I am stripped of my title as queen of our race, I will take Naruto-kun as my mate. Yuriko was speechless listening to her older sister speak. You say you truly love me, Yamato, don't you want me to have happiness? Gina looked to her sad now. Or would you hurt your one-sama by making her future mate think that she's already mated to her own sister? She even added a few tears. Would you put me through such agonizing heartbreak? Gina learned how to manipulate others from her friend Naomi, and who better to manipulate than her own younger sister? Yuriko flinched. No, one-sama, I'm sorry. She held her head down in guilt. Forgive me, one-sama. Gina smiled. I forgive you, Yamato-chan. I do love you dearly, but Naruto-kun. She placed one hand on her very ample chest and looked up at the sky with a loving smile. He holds a very special place in my heart. I want to bear his pups one day. Gina purred seductively, which caused Yuriko to become aroused. I can just feel Naruto-kun's hands all over my body. Caressing me and touching me everywhere, the Inugami queen shuddered in pure ecstasy. Then he finally takes me so hard and fast. Her body trembled from her long suppressed desires, causing her huge beak to jiggle. I can just imagine his long heartbeat pounding into me. She licked her lips erotically. Yuriko was dripping blood from her nose at the images coming to her mind and from her older sister's actions. Oh, one-sama. Her own womanhood was beginning to leak her juices. One-sama with Naruto-kun, the blood flow increased to her nose. Gina looked to her little sister, smirking teasingly. Is my little sister getting aroused from what I told her? She could practically taste Yuriko's pheromones. Sorry, one-sama. Yuriko stuttered, her face flushed pink. You know, Yamato-chan, as I said before, Naruto-kun can have multiple mates. Perhaps if you have a good reason and should you prove yourself, you can become one of his mates too. Yuriko blushed at the thought of a threesome between her one-sama and the cute boy. Gina then led her sister back to Naruto. Alright, Yamato-chan, I'm going to show Naruto-kun just how much I love him, so I need you to stay here. Okay, one-sama. A blushing Yuriko replied. Gina walked over to Naruto. Naruto-kun, let's talk in private. Would you put a barrier up when we arrive at our destination? Naruto nodded. Very well, Gina-chan, as you wish. The two of them then went off to where Yuriko and Gina had talked earlier. Yuriko watched them go. Have fun, one-sama, Naruto-kun. Blood dripped from her nose at her mind's images. When Gina and Naruto were deep enough into the forest. Gina nodded. Go ahead, Naruto-kun. Naruto went through hand seals, and a large black barrier closed off the area from the rest of the world. Okay, Gina-chan, now what? Naruto asked. Gina smiled. Now I will show you how serious I am about being your mate, Naruto-kun. She then slipped her top down, revealing her milk-white shoulders, along with her large K-cup beep. Naruto-kun, do with me as you please. I'm yours. She then pulled her bottom down slowly and took it off, revealing her gorgeous curvy body. They returned to their more docile forms. But Gina felt even stronger than before. Her hair was now a richer silver with barely noticeable black bits in it. Her body and figure also grew even more beautiful to where she now rivaled Naomi's mother in bust size. She also gained a few more stripes somewhere on her body. Her Yaki increased in potency tenfold and her special powers received bonuses that would become apparent in battle. Gina felt more powerful and felt a much deeper connection with Naruto. Naruto-kun, he marked me. I'm his. She then pulled Naruto into a loving hug. I'm truly yours, Naruto-kun. Now and forever. Naruto replied. I know, Gina-chan, but I think we'd better get dressed before we return to Yuriko and head back to the others. In record time, they dressed themselves. Naruto clapped his hands together and dispelled his barrier. Yuriko blinked, sensing her sister's massive power increase. It was incredible, far beyond their father or mother's capabilities. She looked to see Naruto and her sister emerge from the bushes. Yuriko was stunned. I can smell Naruto-kun's scent all over one-sama. They did it. And one-sama has gotten much more powerful. Even daddy can't beat her now. One-sama. Naruto-kun. I can tell you did it. Gina blushed. Naruto nodded, feeling very satisfied. How was it, one-sama? Yuriko asked. Gina giggled. Sorry, Yamato-chan, not telling. Aw, come on, one-sama. Yuriko complained. The three of them then headed back to the house, Yuriko pestering them about their intercourse. Tsukiko waved. Gina-chan. Naruto-kun. Gina smiled slightly. Hey Tsuki-chan. Naruto greeted. Tsuki-ni-chan. Tsukiko then noticed the young woman who looked like Gina only a couple of years younger. Who's this? This is my younger sister Yuriko Taisho. Gina replied. Minato-chan, this is Naruto-kun's older sister Tsukiko Uzumaki. Tsukiko bowed. It's nice to meet you Yuriko-chan. Likewise Tsukiko. Yuriko shyly replied, bowing back in return. Tsukiko remembered. Naruto-kun Ka-chan's awake. Naruto nodded and they entered the house to see Kushina sitting up petting Naomi in her chibi fox form, koala size. Her skin tone was normal though she still looked rather pained. Naomi purred at the treatment she was getting. She loved being petted by those she cared for. Ah-chan. Naruto instantly went to her side, took her free hand in his and kissed it. Kushina smiled lovingly at him. Sorry to worry you Naruto-kun, she nodded to the others. Gina smiled. Good to see you're up Kushina-chan. Kushina smiled back. Thank you Gina-chan. Naomi opened her eyes to see her best friend, but something was different about her. For one thing, her Yauki seemed to gain an enormous increase in power and she appeared to be glowing. Gina-chan, how did your power increase in such a short amount of time? Time skip 5 days later. Naruto and the group were leaving across the finished bridge which was named the Great Yokai Bridge surprisingly. Gina led the group to a clearing in the forest. Okay then, this is where it is. She then went through hand seals and slammed her hand into the ground. A glowing blue magical circle appeared around them. When it flashed they all disappeared. Taisho Palace. The glowing blue circle appeared and a group of 8 people showed up at the palace gates. 2 Inuyagami guards in their dog forms quickly confronted the group. Halt. Who goes there? Gina gazed down at them in a way that would make even her younger brother Sesshomaru cower. The Inuyagami whimpered in submission and bowed. Gina-sama, please forgive our insolence my queen. Are these people your guests? Yes, they are very special guests. Gina replied. Yes my lady, your guests may enter. Taisho-sama is expecting you. They moved aside and the gates opened. Gina looked back at Naruto. Welcome to my home Naruto-kun. Naruto raised an eyebrow studying it. The castle was bigger than the Hyuga mansion. Impressive home Gina-chan. Gina blushed. Thank you Naruto-kun. They entered the gates and went into the castle. Kushina, Naomi, Hinata, Tsukiko and Sakura all decided to take a tour of the beautiful huge palace. Naruto stayed with Gina and Yuriko. Gina-chan, Yuriko-chan, it's wonderful to see you again my daughters, said a regal sounding voice. Naruto sensed a massive Yauki approaching. It was greater than Naomi's but weaker than himself and now Gina's. The tall man appeared before the 3. He looked like a male version of Gina with blue stripes on his face. His long silver hair was tied in a ponytail. He wore armor on his shoulders and a thick pelt of fur draped down his back similar to a cape, yet it split into 2 down the middle. A sword or 2 was sheathed at his side. He smiled down at Naruto. So you're the boy my daughter Gina is so fancied by Naruto Uzumaki I presume? Yes, and you must be her father. Naruto replied, looking up at the Daiukai without fear. Hahaha. You've got guts boy. You don't seem afraid of me. Taisho then suddenly sniffed the air. He could smell his daughter's scent on Naruto. But answer me this boy, why is it I detect my daughter's scent all over you? Gina stepped forward. Because Father Naruto-kun has already marked me. She turned her head and pulled down her collar showing the mark on her neck. But Taisho bellowed. You marked my daughter before coming here. Gina explained. I wanted him to mark me father, I love him. I had waited 7 years for him to age and grow and today I had decided I waited long enough. But Gina-chan. Don't you realize you've broken our tradition? Taisho said looking at his daughter. You shouldn't have mated with him before I determined whether he was worthy of you. Taisho soon went into a rant. Gina didn't even bat an eyelash. She then unleashed a portion of her newly grown power, a faint dark purple-green aura emanated around her body. It froze her father in shock and fear. Father, you do remember I'm ruler of our family now, right? Do you doubt my judgment of choosing my own mate? Her eyes flashed red with blue-green slits. Her power sent her father to his knees. Taisho shivered. Her power is enormous. Not even I or her mother could stand in her way now. No Gina-chan, it's just a tradition for you or your sister and brothers to bring your mates here before mating for me to test them. Gina-chan. Naruto spoke up, disrupting the tension. If it is a tradition then I will accept the test. Gina looked at her mate in slight surprise. Naruto-kun, are you sure? Naruto nodded in confirmation. Yes. Gina blushed. Naruto-kun, alright father, you may test Naruto-kun tomorrow, but I can assure you he will pass with flying colors. Taisho smiled. I'll look forward to it tomorrow. Gina-chan, now Naruto, what will you do? Your family is touring the palace. I can show you around and give you one of the many guest rooms. Gina walked over to Naruto and placed one hand on his shoulder. That won't be necessary father, I will not be separated from my mate. I will give him the tour and he will be staying tonight in my room with me. But Taisho tried to protest until Gina's eyes flashed at him with a dark ruthless glint, as if daring him to go against her. She smiled, but you could see the malice behind it, on Ahana's scary grin. Taisho started sweating in fear. He gulped and nodded nervously. Gotcha, Gina-chan. Gina's smile softened. I'm glad you see things my way, father. Come Naru-kun, let's view the sights. Sure, Gina-chan. Naruto replied, blushing at her newly enhanced figure. They began to exit the room together. Taisho blushed at the implications. Then he suddenly remembered something to warn his daughter about. Oh, Gina-chan. Be warned, your younger brothers Sesshomaru and Inuyasha will be home today. Gina continued her walk, leading Naruto outside to explore. Naruto-kun can handle my Itautos, should they try anything, father. Taisho watched his eldest leave. To think she loves him so much that she already mated with him before bringing him here. Naruto Uzumaki, just who are you really? My daughter has never felt this way towards any man before you. He sniffed the air, and his super hearing heard the door open loudly. Looks like my sons are home. Two young men entered the palace. One wore an all-red outfit with a pale yellow inner outfit. He had a sword strapped to his side. Like the rest of his family, he had long silver hair and golden eyes. Only he had a pair of silver dog ears on top of his head. He had a stern, serious yet free-spirited look on his face. The other was a truly male version of Gina. He had an emotionless, cold look on his face. He wore a spiked pauldron on one shoulder, and on the other, a long fur pelt went to his feet and trailed behind him like a tail. Like the other, a sword was at his side, only he had two swords. The dog-eared man was Inuyasha Taisho, the youngest son and the younger half-brother of Gina and Yuriko. He was a Hanyu, part demon, part human. The sword he wielded was once wielded by their father. Tsuga made originally from their father's fang, but now also from his own fang. Inuyasha, as the son of a Daikai, could be referred to as a Daihanyu. The other man was Sesshomaru Taisho, Gina's younger brother and Yuriko's older brother. He liked Gina, Yuriko, and their parents was a full Inugami demon. He loathed humans and his younger half-brother with every fiber of his being. The only reason he hasn't continued trying to kill him was their elder sister stopping him. Even now Sesshomaru just tolerates Inuyasha's presence at best. His best sword was called Bakuseiga, a sword made from his very being and life force. He gained it after his powers surpassed their father, and he regrew his missing arm that Inuyasha had sliced off once before when they first fought over Tsuga. Sesshomaru spoke. Father, is it true that Oni-sama has returned? They heard around the grapevine that their older sister was back and wanted to confirm it. Taisho frowned at his eldest son. Even after gaining his own sword, Sesshomaru still hardly ever showed his emotions to even his own family. Taisho rubbed his temples. Where have I gone wrong with him? Yes, and she's brought a male home she has chosen as her mate. Inuyasha shouted. Are you serious, old man? Oni-sama brought a mate home. Taisho chuckled. He doesn't blame his younger son for calling him old man, he was dead for most of his life after all. Sesshomaru looked down at his younger brother coldly. Show more respect to our father, Inuyasha. Inuyasha growled, make me, you bastard. The two have glared at each other with lightning coming out of their eyes. Sesshomaru withdrew Bakuseiga. HMPH, you are foolish to believe you can defeat this Sesshomaru. Inuyasha unsheathed Tsuga, and it transformed into a massive fang-like blade the size of Zabuza's sword. Heh. You never know until you try. They held their swords in battle position ready to clash. Enough, my sons. I will not have you fighting each other after you just got home. Taisho yelled. HMPH. They both harumphed and resheathed their swords and turned away from each other. Taisho's sweat dropped. Oh boy, I hope they don't do anything to make Gina-chan angry. Her anger was the one thing even Sesshomaru feared. He clasped his clawed hands together in prayer. But he sadly knew the mindset of his eldest son, who might not accept Naruto so easily. But Gina was showing Naruto around her home. Several maids greeted her in reverence. They were all much weaker Inugami females whose powers never fully developed. Gina-sama. Hello. The lead maid replied. One of them noticed Naruto. Ooh. Who's this cute boy, Gina-sama? They crowded around Naruto. Who are you? What's your name? Do you have a girl already? Naruto was calm, but on the inside, he wondered what the heck made him so popular with even girls he didn't know. Gina quickly put a stop to it by grabbing Naruto and hugging him possessively. Naru-kun is my mate, remember that, maids? She warned, releasing a small amount of kai. The maids snapped their fingers in defeat. If he was Gina-sama's man, they could do nothing. Gina led Naruto away. But then Inuyasha and Sesshomaru. The two brothers were walking and looking around. They suddenly heard voices and quickly jumped into the trees and hid downwind of their sister's sense of smell. They watched as their elder sister walked into the area with a young blonde boy by her side. Sesshomaru narrowed his eyes. So that's the boy Oni-sama chose. He smells of kitsune. A filthy kitsune is not worthy of Oni-sama. Inuyasha clenched his fists. That kid smells of wolf aside from AM-chan, I've had it with wolves. They disappeared. Later that night. Gina and Naruto returned from their tour. Naruto discovered that his mother, Naomi, his sisters, and Sakura had all retired to bed after a long day of exploring. Gina led Naruto up to her room and they went in. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru watched the whole thing glaring. They were angry this boy was not worthy of their sister. What fools they were. Inside her room, Gina and Naruto were getting ready for bed. Luckily Naruto brought a sealing scroll with his night clothes in them. He wore blue pajamas with the Uchiha and Uzumaki clan symbols on them. Gina wore a white nightgown that hugged her enhanced figure perfectly. Naruto got hurt at the sight of her. Gina smiled as her womb tingled in remembered pleasure. Oh, I want to go another round with Naru-kun, but not here, there will be plenty of other chances. She desperately wanted to mate with him a second time, but now wasn't the time for it. Her love would need all of his focus and strength for the test tomorrow. They slipped into the large bed together and fell asleep. Gina had dreams of bearing Naruto's children. 3 of them. All daughters. Next day, training ground. Aisho stood tall and proud on the field. He awaited his son-in-law's entrance. I wonder where young Naruto could be. The blue ball floated in and took on the form of Gina in her usual outfit. She smiled. Naruto-kun will be here, father. Kushina, Sakura, Naomi, Hinata and Tsukiko would all be here to cheer him on. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru were watching from afar. They hoped their father would kill the boy. Suddenly the sky was darkened by clouds. The shadows began to move almost as if they were alive, all of them had glowing blue eyes. Taisho was stunned watching the scene. The girls were all amazed by the scene. Gina and the other girls thought at the same time. That's my Naruto-kun. The shadowed figures began to swirl until they formed a vortex, and inside the vortex, a single pair of brightly glowing blue eyes was seen. The vortex continued spinning, the glowing eyes seemed to draw closer to the field. Soon the area lightened up, the shadows swirled around, and then faded in a flash to reveal Naruto standing before them. He held his scythe Void Reaper in his hands. Naruto rested his scythe on his shoulder. I'm here, Taisho-san. Let's begin, shall we? Taisho chuckled. Quite an impressive entrance you made, Naruto-san, but let's see if you can back up your impressive power. He withdrew his sword. It resembled a jam blade with a purple jewel on the end of the hilt. Naruto raised an eyebrow, sensing a dark sinister presence from that sword. But it was nothing he couldn't handle. Taisho charged Naruto and swung Sasuke down. But Naruto easily blocked with the staff of Void Reaper. Sparks clashed as the two powerful weapons met. For a few seconds, they met in blade clashes. Void Reaper was causing Sasuke to crack. Taisho was stunned. The scythe is so strong. Incredible. It didn't even break. He then jumped back. I may not have a choice. Taisho raised the sword to the sky and began to spin it. Purple Yaki spun around him with a glowing purple orb above him. Naomi quickly formed a barrier to protect the others. Naruto sensed a massive amount of Yaki being released. Taisho roared. Gakuryuha. He swung the sword down, sending a massive purple tornado straight at Naruto. The twister tore the ground as it moved straight at Naruto. Naruto remained calm though. He raised his scythe and it began to glow with his black Yaki. Naruto then swung his scythe, releasing a crescent-shaped blast of black energy, think Ichigo's Yotsuga Tensho. Naruto's blast split the twister in two, destabilizing it, and it exploded in midair. Taisho was completely shocked. No way. He destroyed the Gakuryuha so easily. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru couldn't believe their eyes. That twister technique of Sasuke gave even them a hard time, and yet this boy destroys it with a single attack. Just what kind of monster did their big sister fall in love with in the first place? Gina smiled watching the fight in full. You see, father. You have no idea about the full depths of Naruto-kun's power. Taisho was so shocked he didn't see Naruto come in with his scythe aimed to strike. The Daiukai barely managed to block the strike with Sasuke. Naruto pushed Taisho back with ease. Naruto sensed Sasuke pulsing with bloodlust. Kill him, Taisho. I demand his blood. Do it. The orb on the hilt pulsed red. Naruto heard the sinister voice from the sword. Ascension Blade. Taisho-san, it seems you're having trouble with this sword, perhaps you're better off without it. Naruto then slashed out with his scythe, knocking Sasuke out of Taisho's hand. The sword of hell spun in the air and planted into the ground. Taisho dodged another slash from Naruto's scythe. This boy, he's much stronger than I gave him credit for. Very well, Naruto-san, no more holding back. His Yaki surrounded him, his eyes turned red with green slits with the stripes on his face darkening. Now we fight for real. His claws and fangs doubled in length. Naruto was engulfed in black shrouds of Yaki. When it faded, his face looked slightly more feral. His nails were sharp claws. His pupils were slits, and his fangs were seen slightly poking from his mouth. Very well, Taisho-san, now let's begin. Naruto had assumed his human battle form. His black Yaki swirled around him. Inuyasha was shocked. His demonic aura, it's so powerful and he's only partially transformed. Not even Naraku had such an aura. What is this kid? Sesshomaru sniffed the air. That scent, I've smelled it once before when the Demon King Takeo visited father centuries ago. Why does this boy smell of Takeo, the Juubi no Akami? Taisho grinned, baring his longer fangs. Here I come, boy. He shot towards Naruto and aimed a slash with his claws. Naruto easily blocked the attack. Naruto slashed out with his own claws. 5 gashes suddenly spewed blood on Taisho's body. The gashes were on his side, leg, arm, back, and other side. Taisho was stunned. So fast. I didn't even see him move. Naruto licked the blood off his hand in an almost sensual manner. Gina licked her lips in lust. Naru-kun. Yuriko trembled in awe. An incredible Naruto-kun winded daddy so easily. Kushina was trembling and barely restrained lust. Blood, delicious sweet blood. She then lowered her hand into her pants. Naomi was enjoying the fight as well. Takeo-sama, you will be proud, Naruto-kun has surpassed your limits, alright. Sesshomaru was visibly shocked. No way, even I can't lay a hand on father and he does it so easily. What is this boy? Inuyasha trembled, sensing the immense power. I'm wondering if maybe we should just leave the boy alone. Sakura grinned, revealing her longer than average fangs. Her green eyes became slits. As the princess queen of the vampires, blood was her favorite thing to see on the battlefield, especially when it was her love spilling it. In fact, Sakura looked around to make sure the others were busy watching and began to lower her hand into her kimono bottom. Taisho's wounds began to close up. Not bad, boy, you have strength and speed. Taisho rushed at Naruto and the fight intensified. Taisho tried to attack Naruto several times, but the younger Daiukai was too fast and nimble for him. Naruto avoided and countered all of Taisho's attacks with such incredible ease. Naruto blocked a kick from Taisho and countered with a kick of his own and then flew after him before clenching his hand and punching the older Daiukai, sending him flying. Taisho recovered, but Naruto phased in front of him with his claws extended. Taisho was soon coated in blood with gashes everywhere from Naruto's sharp claws. Naruto swung his claw, aiming for Taisho's head and stopped just an inch from beheading him. Looks like I am the victor, Taisho-san. If I wanted you dead, I would have killed you from the start of this fight. But I don't want to hurt Gina-chan with your death. Taisho's demon face returned to his normal human face as he thought of how quickly he lost. Incredible, I couldn't even keep up with this boy. Gina-chan chose a good mate. I surrender, Naruto Uzumaki. You are a worthy male to court my daughter. You pass my test with flying colors. Naruto reverted to his normal human form. Gina smiled and instantly teleported down there, hugging Naruto. I knew you would pass, Naru-kun. Naruto blushed, feeling her beat pressing against him. Thank you for the support, Gina-chan. I looked to the other girls and nodded. Thank you all. The girls all blushed. Suddenly they all felt a sinister power. The sword Saanga was glowing a vile purple crimson and was levitating. It manifested a physical body made of dark blue armor. It lacked a head and had only one arm, which was a curved blade. Taisho was shocked. I didn't know Saanga could manifest into a physical form like that. Naruto narrowed his eyes and summoned Void Reaper in Shroud of Black Yaki. It seems this sword doesn't know when to quit. Saanga spoke. Boy, I want your blood. And I will have it. The armored being rushed at Naruto, who met its blade with Void Reaper. Naruto narrowed his eyes into a dark glare. Foolish sword, you should have just stayed quiet. If Saanga's body had a head, it would have a scared to death look on its face. Never. You will give me blood, boy. Saanga jumped back before aiming its single-bladed arm at Naruto and fired black spikes similar to Inuyasha's diamond attack. Naruto deflected all the spikes with a twirl of Void Reaper. Saanga appeared behind Naruto, aiming to behead him. But Naruto's senses were top-notch. He easily turned and countered, raising Void Reaper, and with a single slash bisected Saanga without any difficulties. If it had a face, Saanga would be shocked to realize just who it was messing with. Such power, forgive me, your highness, Saanga whispered. Its physical form glowed purple and it returned to sword form, which snapped in two. Taisho was amazed. Incredible, he defeated Saanga with one attack. He looked to Gina. Gina-chan, you have chosen a fine mate. Gina smiled. Thank you, father, I told you I did. Now what to do with this sword? Taisho gestured to the two pieces of Saanga. Naruto aimed one hand with 2 fingers pointed out. Taisho-san. Move. Black energy gathered in front of his index and middle fingers. Taisho quickly got out of the way as Naruto shot laser-like twin black beams from his finger. The blast struck both pieces of the sword and destroyed them. This sword was too dangerous to allow it to continue existing. Taisho smiled. Thank you, Naruto, now we won't have to worry about that sword again. Gina hugged Naruto, smothering his head in between her now large KK cup-sized beep, same size as Kamiko. Oh, thank you, Naru-kun. You got rid of an annoying weapon. Kushina complained. Hey, Gina-chan. Don't hug him. Yuriko pouted. Yeah, One-sama, don't be greedy. Sakura, Hinata, and Tsukiko agreed. Naomi giggled at the antics. I can't wait for my turn with Naruto-kun. I'll make it his best. I'll show him how good a QP is in bed. Inuyasha growled watching the boy enjoying his elder sister. Forget my earlier thoughts, this boy is dead. Sesshomaru had his hand on Bakusega's sheath. This boy will pay for tainting One-sama. Inuyasha, I hate you and you hate me, but for now I hate this boy more than you. Shall we team up to kill him? Yeah, I'm game. Inuyasha replied, drawing to Seiga, and it transformed into Fang form. Naruto sensed some Kai aimed at him. Looks like I get 2 fights to test my worth for the price of 1. A voice shouted. Kei's no Kizu. He suddenly jumped out of the way as a yellow wave came at him, followed by a yellow whip which melted the ground. Taisho sighed. Those idiots, I knew they would pull something like this. 2 silver-haired men appeared before Naruto. Hina narrowed her eyes at her younger brothers. Just what were they up to bothering her mate like that? Naruto sniffed the air. They must be related to Gina-chan, Yuriko, and Taisho-san. The taller one smells just like Gina-chan, but the red one appears to be a Hanyu, a mere half-blood. A man with the dog ears growled. You the boy One-sama chose as her mate. And if I am? Naruto replied. The older man held his blade out, it glowed an eerie green, and had runes all over it. Then you die boy, you are not worthy of One-sama. Yeah. One-sama deserves better than a mangy wolf. The Hanyu yelled before he charged recklessly at Naruto, raising his massive sword. Naruto sighed and blocked the fang with Void Reaper. You must be Inuyasha, and the other must be Sesshomaru. I've heard about you from Gina-chan. Sesshomaru's eyes narrowed coldly. You boy have no right to be so familiar with One-sama. Are you planning to kill me? Naruto inquired. Hell yeah, we are. As the bastard said, you aren't worthy of our sister. Inuyasha snarled and brought Seiga up. It glowed and turned black. Maidu's Anjutsuha. Inuyasha slashed, sending powerful black blades of energy. Naruto quickly dodged some, and the one he couldn't dodge. He activated his Dojutsu and used Kamui to counter it, as he sensed this was a space-time technique. The swirling vortex absorbed the black blades. Inuyasha growled. Grrr, damn it. It's like he was holding back against father earlier. Sesshomaru then used his speed to appear in front of Naruto with Bakuseiga raised. Die. Naruto quickly avoided the strike by leaping back. You are persistent. He blocked another strike with Void Reaper. Of course, when it comes to One-sama, this Sesshomaru will never quit. Sesshomaru replied, trying to push the younger demon back, but failing. Inuyasha grinned. That's it bastard, hold him right there, he raised to Seiga. Kei's no Kizu. He swung it, sending a yellow energy wave at them both. Naruto and Sesshomaru both sensed the attack and jumped away, avoiding as the attack tore through where they once were. Naruto then held Void Reaper in one hand while performing seals with the other. Fire release. Great fireball technique. He shot a massive violet fireball from his mouth at Sesshomaru. But the Inuyasha easily avoided the fireball and cracked his hand. It glowed an eerie green. Ridiculous Dakasm, Toxic Flower Claw. Sesshomaru slashed his claws, leaving a green trail arc. But Naruto was apparently familiar with this move as he charged Yaki into his own hand, turning it clawed. Kagetsume, Shadow Claw. Naruto slashed, leaving black trails behind his arc. He managed to slash through Sesshomaru's attack and actually sliced through his fur pelt, causing it to bleed. Sesshomaru retreated a few feet back, glaring wrathfully at the younger Daiukai. Taisho shook his head. Those 2 idiots really need to learn how to control themselves. Hina was watching her mate being bothered by her younger brothers, with narrowed eyes. This had gone on long enough. She needed to put a stop to this. Inuyasha was getting angrier. Damn it. There has to be a way to beat him. Wait to Seiga's most powerful move, the Bakuryuha. That's the best way since he has so much power. Just gotta wait for him to attack me. Naruto then swiftly dispelled Void Reaper in a shroud of black Yaki. He held his hands in the horse seal. Fire release. Great fire annihilation. He inhaled and expelled a massive wall of Yakai-infused violet flames from his mouth. Sesshomaru summoned his whip of light and spun around in place, turning his whip into a shield. Inuyasha jumped in front of the attack. Now's my chance. He raised to Seiga. Bakuryuha. He gathered the flames into a twister and launched it at Naruto. Naruto had his eyes closed as the twister came near, then to Inuyasha's horror, Naruto simply swung one hand out and deflected the reflecting attack straight up into the sky. Inuyasha was completely stunned. But how? The Bakuryuha was supposed to turn his Yaki back on him. What Inuyasha failed to realize was Naruto was a completely different order of being than even his father. Naruto could not be beaten simply by absorbing one of his attacks and reflecting it back on him. Sesshomaru raised an eyebrow. Interesting, it seems neither my Bakuseiga or Seiga can beat this child. And he managed to defeat Sanga, a sword even this Sesshomaru had trouble against. Naruto opened his eyes to reveal 9 red tomo and 4 red ripples on a black ground before he suddenly vanished in a swirl. Everyone looked around and then looked up when they felt a monstrous power. Naruto was standing on the highest point of the castle. Hina watched really close to putting a stop to this, however she decided to just let Naruto handle it. Sesshomaru rushed at Naruto with Bakuseiga glowing green. Inuyasha charged with Tsuga now in its dragon-scaled form. Naruto raised his hand to the sky. Black lightning crackled in his hand and shot into the sky, blackening the area over with a powerful storm cloud filled with demonic black lightning. Then a strange beast made of lightning with red eyes appeared from the clouds. It looked like a dragon. Aisho was stunned. He's controlling nature itself. Kushina was amazed. No way Naruto-kun tamed natural lightning itself. The beast lowered its head roaring. Naruto flicked his hand up and the dragon shot up into the clouds. Naruto spoke. Vanish with a roar of thunder, he then brought his hand down. Kirin. A massive lightning bolt shot down on the 2 Inu brothers. The flash was so bright everyone had to cover their eyes or be blinded. When the flash cleared up, it showed Sesshomaru and Inuyasha on the ground barely conscious with a blue barrier protecting them. The barrier originated from the sword still sheathed at Sesshomaru's side. Aisho sighed. It's a total defeat for those 2. It's a good thing Tsuga protected them, or else they would be dead. Sesshomaru got up as his wounds began to close. We're not finished yet, boy. His eyes turned red with green slits, his face elongated. He turned into a pink light and flew into the air before crashing down. He transformed into a gigantic silver dog. He growled, saliva dripping from his mouth as it dripped. A green mist was released into the air. Inuyasha sheathed Tsuga and removed it from his person. He changed as well. Purple stripes appeared beneath his eyes. They turned red with green slits. His claws and fangs elongated. Naruto raised an eyebrow. So they transformed. He then dropped on all fours, his claws elongated digging into the ground and his fangs lengthened. Black mist began to seep out of his body and mouth and covered him. But then he suddenly stopped before rising up with the black mist fading away. I think someone else wants to handle you too. Sesshomaru in beast form growled. You think you can us without transforming, boy? That stupid kid. Inuyasha replied, cracking his claws. Just then a massive kai and then a blur flew by Sesshomaru. A gash opened on Sesshomaru's side and chest. He fell to the ground in surprise, actually reverting back to his human form. Aisho shook his head. Now they've done it. Yuriko shivered. One-Sama is very angry. Naomi grinned. How interesting. It seems those 2 have really angered Gina-chan. Sakura was watching in delight. Gina-sama can be as sadistic as any vampire. How exciting. Kushina and her daughters were conversing with each other. But they too quite enjoyed the show. Sure enough, Gina appeared in front of her mate before Sesshomaru with her sword raised, blood dripping off it. You too. Have caused enough trouble. Gina said, her voice extremely cold and ruthless, practically rivaling Naruto's own. Gina vanished again and appeared behind Inuyasha, with one arm raised with her claws gleaming in the light. Blood sprayed as Inuyasha's top tore apart and deep bloody gashes appeared all over his upper body. He fell on his back wounded and reverted back to his normal Hanyu self. He and Sesshomaru were staying on the ground in fear. They had never seen their elder sister so angry before. It was utterly terrifying. Hina then unleashed her Yauki and froze her brothers with a ruthless glare. Now let me warn you, foolish little brothers, should you ever and I mean never bother my mate with such issues again, I will let him finish killing you. She released a massive wave of kai on them. Understand? Both nodded silently and they mentally swore not to anger their sister like this again. This was their one and only warning. Aisho sighed. Hopefully now those 2 will learn better control. Yuriko giggled. Maybe not, daddy, you know how they are. True, Yuriko-chan, but I think your sister's warning has gotten through to them. Next day. The group was ready to leave and head back to Konohagakure. Well, not really. But they had to bear with it for now. Gina hugged her father. Goodbye, father, we must return to Naruto-kun's village, otherwise it will look suspicious. I understand, Gina-chan, Taisha replied. Visit me again sometime and maybe bring grandchildren. Gina blushed. Father, it will be a while before Naruto-kun and I think about having children. Aisho knew why that was and shook his head. Humans sure have changed since they discovered chakra and sealing. I'm beginning to realize and understand why your brother still dislikes them. Taisho gazed at his eldest son who looked away, but he had a slightly satisfied look on his face. Inuyasha crossed his arms and looked away stubbornly. Be careful out there, One-Sama. Gina nodded. Thank you, Itaudo. The group was about to leave when. Wait. They stopped as Yuriko carrying a pack ran up to them. Gina was surprised to see her younger sister. Imauto-chan. What is it? I want to come with you and Naruto-kun, One-Sama, Yuriko said, blushing. Gina looked at her father. Aisho chuckled. Your queen, Gina-chan, you decide. Amato-chan, it's going to be dangerous where we're going. Shinobi have ways to seal demons who aren't in Naruto-kun's, Mai, or Naomi-chan's league. Gina warned. I can help you out. One Isama besides Yuriko looked at Naruto and blushed. I want to prove myself to Naruto-kun. Naruto raised an eyebrow at her. Naomi looked at the Inugami princess and giggled. Oh my. How cute little Yuriko-chan is gaining a crush on Naruto-kun. Gina knelt down and placed her hand on the ground. A blue ritual circle appeared below them and soon they vanished, heading straight back to Konoha. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comments section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.